Hey there, boys and girls, Ryan here. I want to quickly say happy Memorial Day. It's Memorial Day weekend, and I hope you get to do something fun and exciting with your family. But don't forget why we celebrate Memorial Day. We celebrate it to honor the brave men and women who have fallen serving our country, protecting the freedoms that we get to enjoy on a daily basis. Like coming to church, getting to worship the God that we worship and that we serve. We take those things for granted, but actually those things are not privileges in a lot of countries in the world. A lot of places, they're not allowed to go to church. They're not allowed to worship the God that we worship. They're controlled by their government. So here in our country, we have those freedoms, and those are the things that those people, or some of the things that those people have fought and died for, like protecting our freedom. So remember them this weekend, but also have fun with your families. Today at 2 o'clock, we're actually having an event at the rec park. So we're going to go down there, we're going to play some wiffle ball, we're going to play some softball, and basically we're just going to be able to hang out outside and kind of catch up with each other. We haven't seen each other, especially you boys and girls haven't seen each other since right before spring break, I think. That's when we went on lockdown. So it'd be a great opportunity for you to come out and get to see some of your fellow church members, just get to kind of love on each other, not physically, just with words, and just have some fun and get to see some other people. And also, we started it back in church last week. Last Sunday, we had our first 2 services back in church, and they went awesome. I was so glad to get to see some of you boys and girls from Kids Church. And today, I'm hoping that I get to see a whole lot more of you this morning. But we're going to continue to see more and more of you and get back into the swing of things as time goes on. And I'm so glad for that. We're still on our theme of finding Jesus under the sea. But real quick, I want to give a shout out to something that's been very popular over this whole quarantine time, and that's called staycations. It's where you actually go out in the backyard and you just camp out, or you try to make your own vacation. A lot of people had trips planned for spring break and for summertime. I know you guys aren't officially out for summer yet, but a lot of trips got canceled. And a lot of weekend getaways, beach trips, whatever, we've been kind of locked down. So a lot of people have gotten creative, and it could be as simple as just getting some tents and some sleeping bags and going out and camping out in the backyard. And whether you were on a staycation or whether you've just been outside at some point in your life, I know we have all looked up at the stars in the sky. There's so many stars in the sky that we would never, ever be able to count them all. It's pretty much impossible to count all of the stars in the sky. And I want you to remember that because it has a lot to do with our lesson in a little while. But before we get into that lesson, let's check in with the Gator Gabe and see what he's up to this week.
This thing on? Hello? There we go. Hey y'all, I'm Crocodile Connor. I'm Gator Gabe's big sister. Gator Gabe went out of town for his Memorial Day vacation. He asked me to fill in for him today. I hear we're talking about starfish, and I'm the biggest star in the family. So if you swim down there to the bottom of the ocean, you're gonna find you a starfish. And I think that they are one of the most beautiful creatures out there on God's green earth. I mean, God's blue ocean. You know what I mean. One of the most interesting things about them is there are so many of them. You ever tried to count all the starfish in the sea? It's real hard. It's about like trying to count all these freckles on my face. I don't think I can do it. You can try if you want to. Or trying to count all the stars in the sky. I tried to do that too. One time Gator Gabe locked me out the house one night and I had to camp out here by myself in the yard. I tried to count all them stars and I couldn't do it. Kind of like trying to count all them starfish. But you know what? I think I'm going to try. So I'm going to go down to the ocean and I'll let you know how it goes. Wish me luck.
Just like the stars in the sky and all the starfish in the sea, we can never count all of them. And God's blessings in our life are the same exact way. Every single one of us have been blessed by God all of our lives. And we've got so many blessings in our life that we can never even keep track of. We can never count them. But a lot of times we'll forget about those blessings. And we come into a situation like we're in now with the coronavirus and everything. And we kind of start to have doubts about God. We have kind of doubts about our faith. Where is God at right now? Why isn't he helping us? How could this be a good thing? What's going on right now? But I want to tell you about a story in the Bible. It's called God's Covenant with Abraham. It's in Genesis chapter 15. So if you have some time, which I know you do, go read Genesis chapter 15, at least the first part of that, and you'll get the whole version of the story. But I'm just going to quote it real quick. It's where Abram, not Abraham yet, Abram and Sarai, later known as Abraham and Sarah, are very old. They're way on in their years. They've had a successful reign. Abram is a very good leader. He's a good Christian man, a good follower of God. But Abram doesn't have any kids. Sarai is unable to have children, and she's very, very old. So they had kind of pretty much just wrote off that they would never have kids. So Abram's kind of discouraged because he doesn't have anybody to give all of his riches to. He doesn't have anybody to pass along his leadership to. Back in those days, whoever was king or whoever was a leader, their first son a lot of times would be the one to take over. Their kids would be the ones to take over and inherit everything that they had. Well, Abram didn't have that. He was going to have to give everything he owned to one of his servants. Well, God had a conversation with Abram one day, and he told Abram, go outside and look at all of the stars in the sky. He said, go count them. He said, Abram, that's how many descendants I'm going to give you, which means that's how many kids I'm going to give you, and then they're going to have kids, and they're going to have kids, and then you know the story or the song, Father Abraham had many sons, and many sons had Father Abraham. You know, God came through with that promise, and I'm sure when Abram heard this, he's like, you know, Sarai's old. If she was going to have kids, that would have happened a long time ago. She's just unable to have kids, you know, and so he probably had a little bit of doubt. But he trusted in God. He saw the blessings that God had already done for him and Sarai, so he trusted in God. He continued on to live faithfully, and you know what happened next. Like I said, with the story or with the song that Father Abraham had so many kids, and his descendants went on to live forever and live in the promised land, and God just really fulfilled that promise to Abraham or Abram. But you know, we can take a lot away from Abram in that situation. When it seemed impossible, when it seemed like that time for him and Sarai to have children had passed, he still continued to believe in God. And he counted his blessings that God had already given him in his life, and that's what helped him believe that this next blessing was going to come. So right now, when things don't make sense, or in the future when things don't make sense, or things don't go our way, or we get discouraged about things, please try not to doubt God. You know, we're all guilty of it. I've doubted God. I know you've doubted God and some situations in your life. But we have to remember all of the good things that God's done in our life. All of the good things that God has already blessed us with in our lives. So the next time you get discouraged, the next time you start to doubt, go outside and look at all of the stars in the sky. And then think about all of the blessings that God has done in your life. Just try to count the stars. And once you get to like a gazillion or whatever number you want to get to, think about there's so many more. And if you get a telescope, you can see billions more and all this stuff. That's how many blessings God has given you in your life. And God's going to continue to give you blessings every single day, every minute of your life. So thank you guys again for tuning in this week. We hope to see you today at the rec park at 2 p.m. So bring your gloves, bring your trash talk, whatever you got. You know, we're ready for you, but we're also just ready to hang out with you, smile at you, and just have a good time. So thank you. We'll see you soon.